welcome back to the Graceful Tangle YouTube channel. You can find all of the links to my various social media platforms in the description box below, so be sure to check those out if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do that. And don't forget to hit that little bell right next to the subscribe button so that you can know each and every time I upload a new video. I am so excited to be back with you guys today talking about a brand new pattern release. I have been dreaming of a pattern like this for so long, and I am just absolutely thrilled that I was able to design it and really bring that idea to life. That is one of my absolute favorite things about designing, is to be able to form this little image or idea in your mind about something that you want to create, and then you can create it using the knowledge and the techniques and design your own pattern and then release it, and everybody else can make it too. It's just such a beautiful, satisfying feeling, and I'm really excited that I get to do it once again with this pattern. So this is the Plum Pudding Cowl. It is a crochet cowl that is formed by making a big long rectangle, seaming the two ends together, and then adding a couple of finishing touches to make it look extra polished. So I'm going to take it off so that I can walk you through the construction of this cowl, because it is super simple, but I wanted to take a second to really make sure that you understand each and every step, and just so that the pattern can be absolutely as easy to follow as possible. So again, you start off at one end and crochet all the way down to form a big long rectangle, So your rectangle will be twice as long as this because it won't be folded, of course. And then once you finish crocheting that rectangle, you will then seam the two ends, the beginning end and the stitches of the last row you just finished, together. So in the pattern, I have two options for you to do. You can either slip stitch the two ends together, which is what I did right here. You can just barely see it, which is a really good sign. You can see it more on the wrong side. Right there, you can see it. But of course, that's on the inside of your work, so it's totally okay that it's there. However, I also have a whip stitch option in the pattern, so you can do whichever one you prefer, whichever one is simplest for you. I just suggest choosing whichever one you want. You know, of course, they will look just a little bit different, but it's not enough to make a big difference. And, you know, I do think that, you know, different people will have different preferences, of course. Personally, I like to use my crochet hook as much as possible for seaming and crocheting and anything else. I don't love seaming. However, if you find seaming a little bit more therapeutic than I do, I would recommend the whip stitch technique. So you can do whichever one you prefer. And then once you seam the two ends together using your preferred method, you then add a single crochet row, which you can see up at the top there, around the entire cowl. So you will just join with your yarn and crochet hook to one row of the side and work in each row one single crochet all the way around the circumference of your cowl. And then you will just repeat that on the opposite side. Of course, there are step-by-step instructions to do that in the pattern, but I just want to take a second to kind of walk you through it, because I know that every now and then it can be a little bit tricky to read a pattern and just see, okay, now we're going to seam it together. You know, that can be a little bit scary sometimes, and I absolutely don't want it to be. This is a really simple cowl, really straightforward pattern, and that's how I love to design. So that is definitely my favorite patterns to release for sure. The baubles are super simple. They are just one stitch, and it's just you do a couple of things to make that stitch pop out extra big, and I love it so much. You can also wear this cowl inside out if you so prefer. My dad actually really likes this side, which is interesting, I think. But I think it looks super cool too. So you can see the texture there. There's just like little indents from the baubles on the other side, and I think it made a really cool pattern. Another thing that is really interesting about this pattern, and it's actually something that I wasn't expecting when I first started, and that is how it looks diagonal. Doesn't that look so cool? It's not what I was expecting. It's not knit diagonal. You don't do any crochet, You don't do any increases to make it look that way. It's just the weight of the pattern and the stitch count and the pattern itself. It's just super cool. I really like that. So if you kind of straighten it out a little bit, like if you were to block it, you can make it look straighter if you wanted. Personally, I kind of like how it just spirals all over itself and it just looks like bubbles are completely taking over. I think it's so fun. I love it so much. So the yarn that I used is this yarn. Yarn Be Soft and Chunky. Soft and Sleek Chunky, excuse me. This is the color French Lilac. So I have this much left of my 4th skein. So of course I do call for 4 skeins. However, I'm really honestly happy that I have this much left over because it can make up for any gauge differences that you might have, or if you want to add a couple of rows or take rows away. Note that any of those changes will affect your yardage. However, I tried to provide enough leeway in the yardage amount so that that won't be a big issue for you. Because I know it's annoying to play yarn chicken. That is not a fun game, trust me. But yeah, absolutely love this pattern. I hope that you guys do too. You can use the code PLUM at checkout to download it for free on Ravelry. You can also find it in my Etsy shop, and both of those things will be linked in the description box below. Be sure to check it out, and I hope that you love it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to check out my other social media platforms linked below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again next time. Bye.